Players games to even greater heights. That pick your poison duo is just the beginning of Indiana's transformation when Cheryl Swoops boldly proclaimed there's a lot of things going on in that locker room. She couldn't have been more wrong. The Fever didn't just add Natasha Howard, they assembled what might be the most dramatic one-year roster overhaul in the history. And the results, well, let's just say Swoops might want to eat crow right now just playing with my teammates. Getting to know my teammates on and off the court, cause that's one thing I actually want to know. What to know is my teammates first, and then know them off on the court as well. The I's front office didn't stop after landing Howard. It methodically built a championship caliber supporting cast that has the basketball world buzzing. Danana Boner, a proven champion with championship now woven into her game, chose Indiana. So did sharpshooter Sophie Cunningham, who brings her playoff experience from the Phoenix Mercury. And don't forget veteran point guard and two-time champion Sydney Colson, whose steady leadership and championship pedigree will be invaluable for the younger players. Sydney Colson is a two-time WNBA champion, a true vet, an amazing backup point guard, and anytime that Cax or any of the guards need to go to the bench, Sydney Colson always makes the right call, always makes the right decision. So to pick up a vet, a professional like Sydney Colson, and then you also have a vet like Danana Bonner, and you also have a vet like Kelsey Mitchell, and then you have Cease and Aaliyah Boston and Lexi. Think about that for a second. In one off season, a team supposedly nobody wanted to play for somehow attracted 4 championship caliber veterans. That's not just a coincidence. It's a complete rejection of the narrative. Swoops and other critics tried to establish these players didn't just randomly select Indiana. They specifically chose to join this roster, this coaching staff. And yes, this team featuring Caitlyn Clark, I feel like we're going to miss really good and just do what we need to do, and also, be determined, and also still holding each other accountable when time get tough, or when time don't get tough. What makes this roster transformation even more impressive is how perfectly these pieces complement each other. The Fever now have the perfect blend of youthful talent and championship experience. Aaliyah Boston, Kelsey Mitchell, Lexi Hull, and Caitlyn Clark provide the young cornerstone pieces, while Howard, Boner, Cunningham, and Colson bring the championship mentality needed to turn potential into results. The Fever is going to run amok this year. You got Danana Boner. Oh my God, they took said. And some of y'all really don't feel like side was that valuable music. See, so valuable to Matt C. Asia see it. Chelsea Gray, Kepa, and Jack Young together. The locker room culture transformation could be just as significant as the on-court improvements. Howard isn't coming to Indiana just to put up stats. She's arriving with a clear mission to instill a championship mindset. She wants to show the younger players exactly what it takes to compete at the highest level day after day. This isn't just about adding talent, it's about building a sustainable winning culture. The Fever have strategically constructed a locker room environment where trust and chemistry can flourish. Howard's leadership will be central to this transformation, creating an atmosphere where younger players can develop while veterans provide the steady guidance needed during tough stretches of the season. I'm sure every team would have loved to have your services, so why is Indiana and this opportunity the right one for you? I just feel like I'm supposed to be here, and got working mysterious ways, and he put me back where I started, and like I said, we still have unfinished business since 2015, so for a franchise that's been rebuilding for years, this sudden influx of championship experience has analysts completely reevaluating their expectations. Some are already ranking the Fever as potentially the third best team in the entire WNBA next season, a stunning turnaround for a team that was near the bottom of the standings just months ago. What's most telling about this transformation is how quickly the narrative has shifted. The Indiana Fever aren't just viewed as a team on the rise anymore, they're being discussed as legitimate title contenders. The days of nobody wants to play there are emphatically over now. The question isn't whether players want to join the Fever, but rather how soon this new-look roster can compete for championships. We have a young group that's hungry and ready to win a championship. We added new pieces, so I'm really excited about that, and I just can't wait to get things going. And helping this young group learn and tell them this is what it takes to win the championship. And at the end of the season, that's what we're going to be holding up. Howard's arrival is about more than just boosting the team's talent level. She's bringing a mentality that could define this new era of Fever basketball. Her goal isn't incremental improvement, it's championships, and her confidence is contagious. This team isn't approaching next season hoping to be competitive. They're approaching it expecting to win. The critics who doubted whether star players would choose to play alongside Clark must now confront an uncomfortable reality. Not only did these veterans choose Indiana, but they're already talking about championships. The team nobody wanted to play for has transformed into the team everybody should fear. Start off with trust. We got to make sure we trust each other. We could go a long way. And that's one thing that when everybody come back from playing, whatever they doing and stuff in training before training camp start, that's when we need to start coming together, getting to know each other off the court, said it on the court, cause if you know your teammate off the court, you would be easy when you're on the court. So that's one thing we need to dig in more deeply is trusting each other. So as the Indiana Fever continue fine-tuning their roster heading into the new season, they're still finalizing the roster to round out their championship caliber squad. And yes, I said championship caliber without hesitation. The narrative has completely flipped from nobody wants to play there to everybody's watching what happens there. What Cheryl swoops and the critics missed in their rush to dismiss Indiana was the vision that players like Natasha Howard clearly saw when choosing the Fever. With just one more strategic addition, this team isn't just talking about making playoffs or showing improvement. They're positioning themselves as legitimate title contenders. The transformation is complete, the foundation is set, the culture has shifted, and the question isn't whether stars want to play for the Indiana Fever anymore. It's whether the rest of the league is ready for what's coming. Are you excited? Let us know in the comments. Subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you never miss out. Click the video on the screen, and we will see you in the next one. Howard wasn't pushed to Indiana or settled for the Fever as a last resort. She had options, plenty of them. That's a good one right there. I'll be back, number the original back at it. Oh, jersey, look the original right. Look at that 2014 right there. The emotional weight of this homecoming was on full display during Howard's signing when she was presented with her original Fever jersey from 2014. It wasn't just a contract signing, it was a full-circle moment that visibly moved Howard, connecting her past to what could be an incredible future with this revitalized Indiana team coach. Always being on my butt about hustling, working hard, do the little things, cause the little things going to take you a long way. And when I got the minutes that I played my rookie year, I took every advantage of it. And I'm happy to be back next to her playing with her and her coaching me. And Howard wasn't some afterthought in the Fever's offseason plans, as Kelly Krakoff, the Fever's general manager, revealed when Amber and I started talking from the beginning. The person that's sitting next to me is a high-end integrity, high-class, great teammate. Howard was their top target from day one, a player they strategically pursued to transform their roster. We have the talent, but first of all, we have the people to actually do it. So I'm happy, I said, to be a part of this. And also bring the leadership into the desire to, to show this young group what it takes to win a championship. I have 3, so my thing is to show them you can't take no days off in practice. You got to think. When you practice, it's the way how you play. So my think coming in, I'm just going to show them this is how you work hard. So when you work hard, it's going to be easy in the game. It won't be as hard. So my thing is just bringing that championship mentality to the locker room and to this team. The Fever's Amber Cox couldn't even contain her enthusiasm when introducing Howard, noting people say you should have a one-page resume. Natasha cannot have that. It is several pages. The list goes on and on and on. That's the caliber of player who just chose to play with Caitlyn Clark in Indiana. The list of accomplishments are long. People say you should have a one-page resume. Natasha cannot have that. It is several pages. 3-time champion, 2-time All-Star Defensive Player of the Year, Most Improved Player. Again, the list goes on and on and on. But what truly makes this signing special, what completely dismantles the Swoop's own narrative, is Howard's own powerful words about why she returned far from avoiding the Fever. Howard expressed profound gratitude, stating, "I'm just really honored and blessed to see a team that appreciates me and that want my light." I think it was day 1 when I got this job. Kelly and I were on the phone, and we have 2 things on our to-do list: resign Kelsey Mitchell and bring back Natasha Howard. We have been focused on this day and this moment since the day we started this process. She even reflected on her growth since her first stint with Indiana, saying, "I just feel like I've grown a lot as a person and just as a player. I feel like a lot of teams didn't really appreciate me how they should." This wasn't just a basketball decision, it was personal. It was about finding a home where her talents and contributions would be valued. The person that's sitting next to me is a high integrity, high class, great teammate. Players in this league love her, so welcoming her back, putting her on the floor with our guards, there's a reason why her nickname is Flash. Howard didn't just find a team that appreciates her. She found the perfect basketball soulmate in Caitlyn Clark. This isn't just any partnership. We're talking about pairing a player nicknamed Flash with perhaps the most creative distributor in the game today. Howard's elite transition scoring ability creates exactly the type of target Clark has been missing in Indiana. While critics were busy claiming nobody wanted to play with Clark, these two were quietly forming what could become one of the most lethal fast break deuce the Wanba has ever seen. Imagine this play happening every night. 10-point lead now for Mercy, and it's stolen away. Howard leading the charge, hands it away, gets it back. One-handed off to a little bit of boating for Marin. Got to love that. Let's break down what makes this combination so special. Howard is a transition scoring machine. Her ability to sprint down the court at full speed, maintain body control, and finish at the rim is exactly what the doctor ordered for a passer. With Clark's vision, last season Howard was in rarefied air as one of just a handful players averaging 18-plus points per game, while simultaneously pulling down 7 rebounds per contest. That kind of efficiency isn't just good, it's elite. Last season with a minimum of 25 games played, Natasha Howard was one of just 13 players to average 18 points per game. She was one of 16 players to average 7 rebounds per game in the list of players to average both 18 and 7 last year. Short and elite: Asia Wilson, Brianna Stewart, Nafisa Clear, Brittany Griner, and yes, Natasha Howard. Versatility is a major calling card for Howard. The Fever struggled last season with a roster that couldn't fully capitalize on Clark's otherworldly passing ability. Too often, potentialist assists were squandered by teammates who couldn't keep pace or finish in traffic. Enter Howard, who has built her career on being exactly that kind of finisher. In her introductory press conference, Howard couldn't contain her excitement about this perfect basketball marriage, specifically stating, "I can't wait to run the floor and get those passes." A clear acknowledgement of how she sees her game meshing with Clark's. All of that. And we haven't yet touched upon what Howard does best: defend. Howard was named Defensive Player of the Year in 2019 and has finished in the top 10 of the Defensive Player of the Year voting 3 times in her career. Howard has averaged at least 1 block and 1 steal per game in each of her last 7 seasons, and that versatility is really what makes her a weapon on defense. But Howard brings so much more than just defensive firepower. The Fever ranked near the bottom of the league defensively last season, and Howard's arrival immediately addresses that weakness. With a near 7th wingspan, she's a defensive nightmare for opponents, capable of guarding multiple positions effectively. The numbers tell the story. Howard has averaged at least 1 block and 1 steal per game for 7 consecutive seasons. That kind of defensive disruption transforms a team's entire identity. That wingspan and 6'2" height allows her to be disruptive defensively around the rim on opposing bigs. In fact, Howard will enter the 2025 season 25th all-time in blocks in WNBA history. Think about what this means for Indiana's young roster. When Howard slides over to help defend the rim, it gives perimeter defenders more confidence to pressure ball handlers. When she jumps a passing lane with those long arms, it creates transition opportunities in the opposite direction, right into the hands of the game's premier outlet passer in Clark. And when Howard calls out defensive rotations with her championship-tested voice, the entire unit becomes more cohesive. It's going to be Caitlyn Clark Flash Show. Caitlyn Clark Flash Show. So it's going to be phenomenal playing with a point guard, like you said, that have a good vision on the court, because that's like as soon as she get the ball in her hand, she throwing it up because she already see the person down the court before she even get the ball in her hand. So that's one thing I love about her vision on the court. I really can't wait to catch all those passes and give her all the assists that she need. The nickname Flash wasn't given to Howard by accident. Her quick twitch movements and ability to appear seemingly out of nowhere to make plays are precisely what the Fever lacked. Clark's pinpoint passing accuracy is wasted if receivers can't create separation or find open spaces. Howard excels at both using his speed and basketball IQ to consistently put herself in advantageous positions. Caitlyn in particular, what do you see from her game during her rookie year, and just what's an excitement level playing with someone like that who just changed the whole landscape? She spread the floor by shooting as she could dictate the floor as a point guard, as she's an amazing passer, so I can't wait to run the floor and get those passes. Like she just grown just this past season, just like how she take the game day by day and also just learning from other players and stuff. So I'm just really excited to be a part of this team and also ready to catch her passes. Imagine the nightmares opposing coaches will have game planning for this. Do focus too much attention on stopping Clark's passing, and Howard will feast on one-on-one matchups inside. Pay too much attention to Howard roll into the rim, and Clark will find shooters spotting up on the perimeter. It's a pick your poison scenario that could elevate both. New Fever star Natasha Howard didn't hold back on Caitlyn Clark and Indiana Fever defense. When I was on that stage press conference, I kind of got emotional, a little bit like, well, I'm back here again where I started, and just how Stephanie White do speaking so highly of me, I'm like, this is where I need to be at. And this is where I belong, and I'm just so happy to be able to come back and handle some unfinished business. Nobody wants to play with the Indiana Fever. Remember when Cheryl Swoop said that people in the Fever were like, you all, that's not my point. There's a lot of other going on that players are like, this ain't where I want to be over there. Yeah, yes, and Mua Raman's a lot. So you have players that are very significant on this Indiana Fever team that are like, I want to be here, this where I want to be. Well, Natasha Howard just made her look absolutely ridiculous by not only choosing to join the Indiana Fever, but passionately defending Caitlyn Clark and the team against all the haters. Just really excited to also flavor Kane, Clark, Kelsey, Mitchell, Leah, Boston, like they're the player that you know that I also say stuff on the court to them when I'm like playing against them, but I'm happy I'm playing with them, not against them no more. We're not talking about just any player here. We're talking about a 3-time WNBA champion, former Defensive Player of the Year, and one of only a handful of players in the entire league who averaged 18 points and 7 rebounds last season. So why would an elite star like Howard deliberately choose to team up with Caitlyn Clark? And how is she clapping back in defense of Clark and the Fever? Let's break it down, yo. What's up, fans? You know I'm happy to be at Fever. You see me, you see me, look, yeah, I'm back, baby, I'm back where I started. Let's go. Remember back in April when the haters couldn't wait to tear down Caitlyn Clark. Cheryl Swoops led the charge with that infamous quote claiming nobody would want to play with Clark in Indiana. Well, that narrative just got completely shattered, and the basketball world is still reeling from the impact. What kind of things you feel I'm not in the locker room? I know why I'm talking about more social media. It's a turn. It's a turn, right? It's really a turn of the tides. Well, here's my point. The beginning of the year, right? Everybody saw it for months. Critics like Swoops pushed this idea that established WNBA stars would actively avoid the Fever. They painted this picture that veterans would run away from Indiana because they didn't want to deal with the Caitlyn Clark circus. The media attention, the spotlight, the packed arenas, it became the go-to talking point for anyone looking to diminish Clark's impact on the league. 3 WNBA months in your career. Would you consider each of those 3 seasons as dominant seasons for yourself? No, I can't, bro. Cheryl Swoops is willing to lie about her own career before she even admits that Caitlyn is dominant. But then something happened that those critics never saw coming. Natasha Howard, a 3-time WNBA champion, former Defensive Player of the Year, and one of the league's most respected veterans, didn't just sign with Indiana. She chose to return to the very team that drafted her back in 2014 with the 5th overall pick, the same organization where she began her professional journey a decade ago. And this is a tremendous, not only tremendous player, but a tremendous person. And what she's done the last 9 years in her career has put her in the elite company of many athletes and many players in this league. So I want to say thank you to Natasha and their family for coming back to us, because when a player returns to a place that drafted him that's special. And she chose us because she could have gone anywhere. This wasn't just any signing. This was a statement that ripped the Indiana is toxic narrative to shreds. Howard didn't hide her excitement about returning to Indiana either. During her press conference, she made it crystal clear. I just feel like I'm supposed to be here. I'm happy to be back where I started, and also for my family and friends who also see me back where I started that as well. At the end of the day, the way Indiana came at me with everything they promised me, and they promise, they sold me, and I took the bait for it. And I'm happy to be back where I started, and also being back with Coach Sowell and Kelly, and also Amber as well, bringing her along. Just a blessing to be back where I started, and also for my family and friends who also see me back where I started at as well. Just amazing and a grateful feeling to be back in Indiana Fever jersey. What makes this even more powerful is that